Welcome back to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest, but first, let's hear from our podcast sponsors. We want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the trusted leader in digital ticketing. Hometown helps thousands of schools and organizations across the country seamlessly provide convenient digital ticketing options for their communities, their families, and their fans. Hometown Ticketing is the leading digital ticketing provider. And if you go to hometownticketing.com, you can see how you can sell tickets, scan the attendees, collect your revenue, and experience their great customer support. Hometown Ticketing sells digital tickets for all types of events, not just games. They work for performing arts, for athletics, for dances, and for graduations. So go to hometownticketing.com and talk to their experts about how you can put Hometown Ticketing to work for your school. We also want to say thanks to Final Forms, the industry leader in forms and registration, but they're more than that. Final Forms helps your stakeholders with things like mobile accessibility. They have reminders for parents about policies and physicals and all the forms that go with having an athlete in the house. Final Forms can also help your coaches with things like team communication and attendance, and even their certification management. And for ADs, Final Forms can help with eligibility, with rosters, and all the reports that come across your desk. And it does this with secure language translation. You know, it's time that you talk to a team that's walked in your shoes. To take the next steps and find out what Final Forms can do for you and your program, go to finalforms.com/Jake. That's finalforms.com/Jake to get started with Final Forms. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and find out how athletic directors, coaches, and schools are creating world-class marketing content that's custom branded for their school social media channels. You can do it in seconds on any device, and you don't need any design experience. It's so easy, even I can do it. We use Gipper to help announce our podcast episodes, and my backdrop is a Gipper template. Go to Gipper.com and start creating world-class marketing content. We also want to thank Huddle. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. Over 200,000 teams use Huddle to help their athletes perform better using video and analytics. When I was a football coach, I used Huddle, and as an athletic director, we were a Huddle school, and our coaches just loved the online tools, the smart cameras in the gym. The analytics were fantastic, but there's so much more. Huddle's built for every level of play, from club and youth teams all the way through high school and college programs, and even the pros use Huddle to help their athletes perform at the highest levels. You're in pretty good company with over 6 million users, including the coaches of the college teams you're trying to get to recruit your kids. If you want to find out more about how Huddle can help you in your program and how your school can become a Huddle school, go to huddle.com and talk to their professionals. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. We also want to say thanks to Snap Raise. Better fundraising makes better programs. And if you go to snapraise.com, you can get away from the fundraising headaches of the past. No more selling products or managing lists. Snapraise.com works. Our coaches use snapraise.com, and they just loved it. So easy to operate. You can track the progress. And like I said, it works. Choosing the best fundraiser for you and your school is important, and the SnapRaise digital difference can win for you. As I mentioned, it's easy and effective, it's safe and secure. And if you go to snapraise.com, you can see the thousands and thousands of dollars that they have helped schools raise using their platform. Change your fundraising game plan and start a fundraiser that works for you. Go to snapraise.com for more information. We also want to say thank you to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic surveys are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. We use surveys at my school for years, for everything, for coaches, for teams, for student athletes, and for parents, and it was just great. The information that you collected was almost always overwhelmingly positive, but it also allowed that squeaky wheel parent to vent and maybe point you to a small problem that you could take care of before it turned into a big problem because you didn't know about it because you hadn't done a survey. Go to athleticsurveys.com or send them an email to info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Talk to the folks at Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack and let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive for their support. Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards not only create revenue for your department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com to schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com for more information. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com. See exactly what their fantastic products can do for you. We also want to say thanks to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. You know, they're on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They've got a variety of interactive touchscreen video consoles and an extensive library of templates to help recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. Let them help you showcase your school's diverse history and your proudest moments, and go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Or you can call them at 614-981-3589 or email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We've got a really cool guest today. She's been on before, Shea Collins. She's a certified athletic administrator. She's the director of student activities for Midlothian School District in Virginia. Again, very active at the state level in AD and coaches education. Really enjoy listening to her. So, Shea Collins, what do you got for us this week on Wednesday Wisdom?
Hello, everyone. One of the things we're going to talk about today is your drive and passion for your job. What is your drive? What is your passion? What level would you go to make sure that your program and your coaches, your students are successful? Drive and passion is different for everyone. And just as we learned with Inside Out Coaching, with Joe Ehrman, one of the things was, why do I coach? More so for athletic leaders, why do you lead? Do you have a mission statement? If you don't have one, this is a month to make it. Fall sports are starting. They're gearing up. You're getting ready to do your parent meeting. You're getting ready to do your coaches meeting if you haven't already done those. But I would advise you, and beneficial for you, to think of a mission statement. What is the goal for your programs? What is your goal? What is your mission? What do you hope to accomplish? And what do you want your student athletes and coaches to know about you and the program at your school?
The term, knowing your why has really gotten a lot of press recently. And I think for that young AD or even that young coach, sometimes they're still formulating that. They're struggling. And that's where, the building athletic director or the county AD can be a valuable resource in helping them figure out their why as they work with the district's why. What are some things that you do with your coaches to kind of help them find their why, their mission, their goal?
One of the things I think is important, my school, we actually did the book study with Inside Out Coaching. We did it for 3 days, with 3 different sessions, not 3 days, but 3 different sessions each week until we got through the end. But what I did was I broke the chapters up into the importance of leadership for them as coaches. They're not typically, you say you do a book study, coaches, they're not going to read a book. It's just not going to happen. So I knew that coming in, but I respected them as individuals to say, hey, here's a book. I brought the book for every single coach, every head coach. I brought the book for them through our athletic department. And then we went through chapters. We went through handouts, worksheets, PowerPoints, but it was all virtual at the time. That was I think the turning point for myself as a leader to understand, see my coaches. We talked about personal life, where they work. Like some of my coaches don't even know what another coach does. Some of them don't know they have kids. I know that's personal business, but sometimes it helps to incorporate leadership understanding and understanding each other, because we all have situations that we're coming into, and we always sometimes we forget the human side of people. So that has helped me. Another thing that we did was, we do have the coaches meeting, but this year we were able to have it in person. So at the end of the school year, I had a coaches meeting. For the end of the school year meeting, I actually will plan my coaches meetings 2 times. So I do them twice in the same day. I do one in the daytime for quote unquote teacher hours. And then I'll do one in the evening hour for normal people, what I call normal jobs. So I will have one at 3:30, and then I always have another one either at 5:30 or 6, because I don't want a coach saying I can't come. The reason why I didn't come to me because I didn't have time. The reason why I didn't come because I was coaching. So figure out which time works best. They also have, plenty of warning about the timing. But this year when they came, I had the blue carpet, like our red carpet, pulled out for them. The mascot was there, had balloons on the table. We had food provided by our boosters department, which I'm so thankful to have them. I had ordered gifts for them. Just little things like that. There was pictures on the tables from their kids and their season they could take. They were all framed. So little things to make them feel great. And I told them when they came, and I said, you all do this dog and pony show for your parents, for your kids. I'm going to do one for you all today. So just basic way to appreciate them, but show them something different than just coming in, listen to me talk the entire time. Another thing that we also do, which is I started this year, last year actually, we started a coaches text for the head coaches. They're on the text because not every coach is going to read your email every time you send it. I know that. I know at the end of the day, sometimes I have 30 emails, and I could have just checked them an hour or 2 hours before, and I answered 10, and I ran out of time because now it's something else for me to do, that I can have 30 or 40 at night by the time it's time for me to go to bed. So I know they can't sit there and read them all the time, because some of my coaches are not teachers. I have probably about 40 to 45% of my coaches are teachers in the building. The others are not. So their job may not lend for them to be on the computer all the time checking email from quote unquote me. So we do the group text. But what I did in that text, I also include my dance coach, obviously my cheer coach, and the band personnel, because not only do they need to know some things are not for them. Obviously, there's too much for them, but some things about changing of times. Like, for example, we changed entrance into our school. We now have all key cards. So if you're not an employee, full-time employee, then they get key cards to get in. So that's important for that band teacher to know, because they have volunteers that help them. But if you're a volunteer, you don't get a key card. But if you are an employee or stipend paid coach, you do. So explaining some of those rules to them that they don't always know, or they feel like someone has forgotten them, I included them on the text as well. So that has helped us out a lot of communication. But also, I think not just the visual aspect of coaches meeting, but having the coaches to communicate to each other. For example, sometimes a coach say, hey, coach, they call me coach, can I run on the track, doing such. I said, here's a coach text message. His phone number, text him real quick. Say it's okay, coach, if I use the last 2 lanes, because that doesn't put me in the middle of communicating between the adults, but it helps the adults to learn each other. But it also gives them their phone numbers too. So they can have the phone number attached, so they don't always have to go through me to get information. So those are just some of the things that I do to kind of keep us grounded, keep us together, but also realize that my coaches are not just on their phones or emails, just waiting for me to email or text them something, but I'm able to do that in an efficient way, so that when I do send something, they pay attention to it, and it's not just drowning out like, oh my God, here's another email, but it's also just trying to switch up the ways that we do things to communicate to them. So.
Yeah, the text is definitely a little more, I don't know if this is the right word, but just urgent. When you see that text, you're more likely to check it out. Great talk about communication. And I love how you incorporate all of your programs. So we just had an AD on the podcast that talked about the importance of having cheer and band and dance team under the athletic umbrella, whether they fully were or not, but that's how we did it at my school. And it just, the dividends from communication to school spirit to, everything else was just fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You had a really cool post. I think it was on LinkedIn. I know it was on LinkedIn. I think it might've been on Twitter too, under the heading of you graduated, and just some really cool points about that. Share with our listeners just a little bit about that, and maybe how you have seen in that 4-year period some of the benefits of the work you've done with your coaches.
And that's interesting that you asked me about that, because when I posted that, I was getting text messages from my coaches. And one of the things they said was, "Oh my God, are you leaving? Like, you didn't tell us. Like, if you're going to leave, I know you're going to tell us, right?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm not leaving." They was like, "Well, why did you post that?" And I said, "I was happy about one class graduated. I came in with one group. They're now out. And I'm now starting my second class, And I said, so I was thankful, because when I became the DSA here 4 years ago, it was more of not just a challenge, but I would say not a challenge to start programs at my school. We have 33, 34 teams, academic athlete. I don't need to start another team, but it was more so just to see the trends of what else is needed and necessary for our school that does not always get published. So you publish, like, a team won states, they won regionals, or, a kid is going to college and signing, whatever. But some of the things was to incorporate, number one, was the diversity aspect of not only student athletes participating in sports, but also coaching staff. So increase that diversity along the way, because unfortunately, we didn't have that here. I just pretty much had one coach of color, which was Asian volleyball coach. But now we have 8 or 9 that have been here within the last 4 years and that are still here. And increasing the student diversity on athletic teams was also important. And this is not disrespectful to anybody, so I'm not saying in a disrespectful way, but I am at a school where I have about 78, 79% of students that are Caucasian. 21% of those students at the school are other. Other means Black, Asian, American Indian, whatever, Latino, whatever the categories are. And only 10% of those students were Black. So have an opportunity to have students who feel like they are the minority at a school, who really are the minority at my school, to be included. But it's a matter of showing them the respect and love and attention to be a part of a program. Because sometimes kids will be a part if you just ask them. Sometimes they're afraid to try out. They're afraid to go out. They're afraid to even look, because, oh my God, there's no one that looks like me on that team. Or I think I'm not going to make that team because I don't look like X, Y, and Z. Or I don't have the proper equipment, so I shouldn't go out. And this year, I will say, just in one of our teams, I'll just use girls lacrosse, for example. We have 4 students of color on that team. Some of them have never played before, but our coaches did an awesome job getting equipment for them, helping them, showing them the skills. It made for an awesome opportunity to just alone in that sport incorporate students of color. And it was awesome to see. The kids had a great time. So that was just one of the things I wanted to do. The other thing I wanted to do that I talked about was incorporating more attention and goal setting for not only myself, but for me to be able to reach my coaches. And I wanted to find a way to connect to them. So some of the things I just mentioned previously are some of the things that we've done, that we're a collective group, not just we come in and then we're out. I mean, there's some people who, you come in to coach for your couple, your hour or two, whatever, and you're out because that's what you came here for. But we're building more of a community and a coaching staff that they're like challenging each other, looking out for each other, and helping each other as well. But to also, another thing that I wanted to do was to increase professional development for myself, because I feel like if my coaches see me continuously grow, getting better and doing more, then they will say, oh, well, she's doing all these things, spending 60, 65 hours here, with us a week, but she still, when I came here, I was an RAA. 2 years ago, during COVID, I ended up getting my CMAA. So I want them to understand, but plus just being on podcasts with you, with other individuals, but also working with our state organization on the board for that, in charge of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee on our VIAAA board, but also teaching classes for ADs to be certified with the NIAAA, with the National Association. So just doing a couple of those, I know it's a couple, but working on that and working on my doctoral degree, I want them to know that, like, I'm not just here in the seat and telling you to go get certified or go to coach's clinic or camp. I will support you as much as I can, but I want to see growth in all of us, not just with each coach, but I will do that myself to make sure that is being, I guess they're being the example. I guess it's more so than anything else. And then to also incorporate more opportunities for students, not just in sports, but also academics or um, clubs and activities to make sure that the students feel like they have a place to belong. And that is really, really taken off. We have so many things that the kids can do here and offer them as well. So those are some of the things that I wanted to just say. And like I said, it took another spin of, oh, you're leaving kind of thing. And then just to show the kids some pictures of like where they were when they were freshmen, like how they
Right.
looked, to now how you look when you graduated just the other day. Like you look so different. You look so mature. You look so grown up. Or the different teams they're now on that they weren't on maybe as a freshman, just to see the transition. So it was awesome to do that. And I love doing that. Just seeing the transition for them and their knowledge and understanding and moving from one area to the next and 1 year to the next, that 4 years will fly by so fast. So that was really what the post was more so about than anything.
Yeah, and again, it was really cool. And I guess to tell the truth, when I first saw it, this was a couple weeks ago, I did have that same thought. Well, gosh, is Shea leaving her school? So a lot of stuff in there. It's all really good. So listeners, if you don't follow Shea on LinkedIn or Twitter, you really need to. She posts some really, really cool stuff. And going back to your original thought about, goal and mission and why, I look at my old school, I was at before I retired. Our goal in athletics, our mission was to provide every student a great athletic experience. Period. That was it. And we had great coaches and we won a lot of championships, and that was all great. But as 97% of our kids, they're only going to play high school, and so why not make it a great experience? And it sounds like you're doing all those great things. And oh, by the way, your teams do very well too. So keep up the good work. Shea, if one of our listeners wants to reach out, pick your brain a little bit, find out a little bit more about how you do things at Midlothian, how do they get in touch with you?
So I am on Twitter at 10S Collins if you want to follow me there. IG, we do have an IG page for our school, Midlothian High School Sports. And also I'm on LinkedIn as well if you want to send me a request. So I'm always able to talk to people. My email as well is Shea, SHEA_Collins, COLLINS at ccpsnet.net.
Okay. Shea Collins, Certified Athletic Administrator and Director of Student Activities at Midlothian High School, Midlothian, Virginia. Thanks as always for spending time with us on Wednesday Wisdom.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
For listeners, remember the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews get uploaded to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do Wednesday Wisdom every week, and we have new content just about every day on the Educational AD Podcast. We appreciate you listening. Come back next time for more Wednesday Wisdom. We want to thank all the sponsors that make the Educational AD Podcast and Wednesday Wisdom possible. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you haven't done a survey of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. My previous schools, we use surveys all the time for teachers, for coaches, kids, you name it. And the information that came back was almost always overwhelmingly positive. And it'll be the same for you. At the same time, the survey allowed that squeaky wheel parent to vent. And oftentimes they'd share something that was maybe a little thing, but by hearing about it, you could work to improve it and keep it from turning into a big thing because you didn't know about it because you hadn't done a survey. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing. Hometown Ticketing is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I never got to use Hometown Ticketing because I retired before they really came into vogue, but I've spoken to hundreds of ADs across the country, and they all swear by Hometown Ticketing. Go to hometownticketing.com and start finding out how they can help you and your program. We also want to say thank you to Final Forms. Have used Final Forms. They're actually the official registration platform for the FIAAA here in Florida. And they can help your parents, your coaches, they can help you manage all the paperwork, the forms, the physicals, coaches certification, you name it. Go to finalforms.com/Jake to find out how you can get started with Final Forms. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle. As an athletic director, we were a Huddle school, and our coaches just loved the technology, the analytics, the smart cameras. Go to huddle.com and find out how your school can become a Huddle school. We also want to thank Gipper. Go to gipper.com and start creating world-class marketing content for your school social media channels in seconds on any device, and you don't need any additional training. As I like to say, it's so simple, even I can use it. We use Gipper to announce our podcast episodes, and my backdrop is a Gipper template. Go to gipper.com and start creating world-class marketing content. We also want to say thanks to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. You know, they're on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They've got a variety of interactive touchscreen video consoles and an entire library of templates to help recognize the achievements of your students, both past and present. Go to walloffame.com to start working with a great company, great customer service. And that's Vital Signs, walloffame.com. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive. Our school is one of the first in Florida to have a Sideline Interactive indoor scoring table, and it was just fantastic. We used it for home games. We used it for pep rallies. We also used it for signing ceremonies. It's tremendously versatile, and their customer service was second to none. Go to sidelineinteractive.com for more information. And finally, snapraise.com. There's a lot of fundraising platforms out there, but if you go to snapraise.com, you're going to see the SnapRaise difference. It's easy to use. You can track progress. And more importantly, it works. Our coaches use SnapRaise, and it was just fantastic. And if you go to snapraise.com, you'll be able to see the testimonials from hundreds of coaches that have raised thousands and thousands of dollars. That's snapraise.com. Thanks again for listening to Wednesday Wisdom and the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Until then, have a great day.